Time for some fun work. One of the great things about the Barnabas Group is as I look out across the audience, there's so many people out here that I can look at that I consider friends. And that's such a blessing to Susie and I. And the next person who's one of our keynote speakers, I can call a friend, and that's a blessing to me. Come on up, Dave Gibbons.
All right, I want to go right into this. Look, check this out. I want to see how good your attention is. All right, so what you're going to look at this video is an awareness test.
This is an awareness test.
See if you can follow it.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make?
Go!
The answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Go!
All right, how many of you saw the bear the first time? A couple people. Listen, this is actually a phenomenon called inattentional blindness. So what happens is you look at something over and over again, and you develop these neural pathways. It's a default neural pathway. So it just immediately follows it when you see certain images. And so if something new comes into your range of vision, you actually may not see it if it's different. Do you ever think that happens with life? Is that maybe we're focused on the wrong things, and we think that maybe God's only at church, or when we're at a group like this, a Christian business, women or men's gathering. Could it be that God is everywhere you go, and you could actually experience His power in a unique way? I was pondering this, and I was wondering about, God, okay, I'm getting older here. I'm in my 50s now. And as we look at society, is it really changed? If you look at the recent Gallup polls or the recent surveys, even this past week, they show how the Christian movement in America is actually dwindling. And if you look at your children, you have to ask, are they really excited about Jesus? Are they pumped about Christ? So if we as a community are going to say, hey, let's reach our city or our county for Jesus, what will we do? We probably put together this strategy of planting churches. Or, hey, we're going to be a kingdom business, and we're going to raise a lot of money to give to the churches to plan out the vision. But could there be another way? Could it be that you're actually empowered to really see a great movement of God during your lifetime? That actually you have the skill set and the mind and the abilities to see this accomplished. When I look at a potential case study of this, and I look at how do we reach the world for Jesus, maybe it's not about the masses. Maybe it's actually about the one. When you look at John chapter 4, there's an exciting proposition for us of how Jesus decided to reach this city. It's called Sychar. He went to the Samaritan woman, and it wasn't typically a power person. In fact, it was at the other end of the spectrum. It was a person who was half Jew and half Gentile. No way would you really want to be with them if you're from a Jewish religious background. This is a person you wouldn't even talk to. And beside that, in the culture, she was a woman. That's why she was startled when Jesus actually intersected with her and engaged her in deeper, more meaningful conversations. And I like how he approached it. It wasn't didactic. It wasn't from a top-down level. It was actually from a more Socratic methodology where he actually provoked questions. And from the questions, she was ignited. She couldn't believe that he was asking her opinion and wanted to get to know her. In fact, he asked us one question. He says, hey, why don't you go and get your husband? Do you have one? And she goes, well, actually not. And he goes, well, you're right. You actually have 5 husbands. And the one you're with now, he actually is not your husband. And then, have you ever wondered what her response was? Was she like, oh no, he knows me. And she's feeling all guilty. I think she was actually kind of excited about it. I think it was interesting. This man, he's actually seen something that a lot of guys don't see. And she went and ran back to the village and said, hey, you got to come and meet this man who told me everything about me. And so the whole village then comes running to Jesus. Now, Jesus could have done it very differently. He could have easily got 1 million angels and had them sing in choir and song about him. He could have had this really cool 4D effect where, he puts his picture of his face in the skies and everybody's going, yeah, he's the man, he's the man. But he didn't do it that way. He talked to this one woman, and then the whole village comes running. You see, for a lot of people in that village, the men knew her body. But Jesus was the first one that knew her soul. Do you think there's a power when you really get to know somebody? Could it be maybe one of the most divine transactions that you have on the planet is when you're fully present and you're acting as the presence of God in whatever you do? And could it be that one person could reach the whole city? Is it possible? I believe it is. You see, your job is not just to provide investment funds for ministries. It's actually, you are the church. Wherever you go, you carry the very presence of God. If you think it's really somebody else's job to do that, you're fully mistaken. And what a horrible life. It wouldn't be fun. Because then you're just having to work so other people can have the fun. But could it be that, hey, you're called to have fun every day? And that when you wake up, you should be pumped about the possibility that God may lead you to that one Billy Graham or Mother Teresa or to maybe a Nelson Mandela. They could actually change the whole country and change the world. You see, it's all about what you're seeing. So when you're going out of these doors, how do you see your life? Is it really fun? Because for your children, they don't think it is. It's about programs. It's about going to church and doing the same old regiment. And that's why the creatives and the entrepreneurs are leaving en masse the church. In Korea, 8 of the 10 biggest churches in the world are there. They have hundreds of thousands. You talk about a mega church, they have 1 million people on their roll. One church. But kids are leaving, they say, 20 to 30% a year out of the church. And those same statistics are happening right here in Orange County, where the kids are saying, you know what, I don't want this type of religion. Because quite frankly, it's not that exciting. And it's all linear. And as we know, our lives are not like that. If we're really honest and we go underneath the iceberg from what people see and go underneath the water, all this big part of the iceberg is, man, we're screwed up. And we don't even know how to talk about it. And our kids look at our hypocrisy. So what if we had fun work? What if, man, I'm saying, Jesus, lead me. And we really believe the fact of John chapter 5 where it says Jesus only did what he saw his Father doing. So what if you could figure out what the Father's doing in your life today? Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that potentially be an adventure? You go, does it work? Yeah, it works. I started thinking about this a lot because I built a pretty big church, and we were one of the fastest growing churches in America, but we became one of the fastest declining churches in America because we shifted everything we did because my metrics changed. I said the best metrics may not be great numbers. It actually may be 0. You go, what? Well, what if we had 0 abortions in Orange County? What if we had 0 children to be adopted? 0 foster children? What if we had 0 human trafficking in Orange County? You see, we talk about inflated numbers all the time, and the truth is I look at our big edifices that we put millions of dollars into, and we put resources into professional staffs. And as business leaders, you need to really honestly look objectively, too. Is it really changing the culture? There's something wrong with our model. Could it be that we're building Babels, and they're big and huge, and we gather thousands in our edifices, and we sing our hearts out. We even have little small groups. And as we're having our little small groups talking about Jesus, we're still contained. And if we're honest, the culture is still not impacted. So what if we shift that? What if we live out Genesis 1, where we're called to subdue the whole earth, we're called for freedom, where we're not called to be in boxes? What if we start blessing people with generosity, not just through church bottlenecks and ministry what if we actually become generous with whatever we do in your current work? Not just generous with your money, generous with your time, listening to people, being in the presence of God, having fun. I was invited by a hedge fund guy from New York City, and this guy was going through a major crisis. He recently, and this is all public knowledge, he paid about $70 million in penalties for potential insider trading. And so he asked me to fly out to counsel him. And part of the work I do, my main work is working with domain leaders in the arts, business, and social profit arenas. And it's just referral work. We don't advertise it. And so he found out that I do this work, so I do deep dive into understanding his original design and then customize the journey of development. So he pays for me to come out first class business, and so I'm going out there every month, and so I kind of like it. You know, even though I do pastoral work, I'm bivocational. I don't get paid, even though I'm at a large church by the church, I get paid from my outside work, because I want to show that the model isn't about being professional staff, that it's about living it out in the kingdom and being the presence of God wherever you go. So I'm trying to live this out. I'm working with this guy, and I can't wait till Monday morning because Sunday is so busy. You know how it is. You know, you're just kind of running through all the programs. And so I'm an introvert. And so even though I'm in front of you, I may look extroverted, actually, I love myself a little bit. I'm kind of my own small group. You know, me, myself, and I don't mind just talking to myself. I don't know, kind of weird that way, but I like being by myself, like this type of thing. I have to go home, and I lock myself in a room for a while by myself because it's a lot of energy to be with people. And so I have to give pep talks to do this type of thing, actually. And so I'm happy, man. Monday morning came, the limo came to my house to pick me up to go to the LAX. And I'm saying, oh, sweet. I can pull my iPhone, look at my emails, search for things I want to search about, research, and read. And so I'm in my thinking, comfy in the back seat, when all of a sudden I felt God say, hey, talk to your driver. I go, no. I go, I want to relax. Come on, God. And he goes, no, come on, talk to him. I go, dang. I said, okay. I said, what's your name? My name is Mohammed. I go, oh, no. And I said, Muhammad. I said, and I was talking to God at the same time. I said, okay, you want me to talk to him? I'm just going to go straight after it, okay? I'm not going to mince any words. I'm going to go. Usually I'm a little bit more culturally sensitive and everything, but I'm saying I'm going to go right after it. Muhammad, what do you think about Jesus? Oh, Jesus. He was a good man, but not very smart. Muhammad, he was a smart man and not very good. And we just started laughing in the car. And then, again, I'm an introvert. I don't like this, I don't know, like, little talk stuff. So I'm saying, what else am I supposed to say, God? And so I suddenly, again, this is all new to me. I'm a Dallas Seminary grad. I'm very, conservative, evangelical, not non-charismatic, Presbyterian, Baptist type. So all of a sudden I hear a voice, right? So what is that? I said, God, hey, what do you want me to do? But then I see this image of a brain, and so I go, okay, I'm kind of new to this. He must be a smart guy. So I go, hey, Muhammad, my guess is, man, you're a really smart guy. Even though you're driving in the limo and they think you're a taxi guy, my guess is you got a master's degree in some type of graduate school. How do you know? I got my master's degree in finance in Iran. How do you know? And then I just say, God, anything else? Can you help me out here? And suddenly I had this vision of a very large woman, but I didn't know how to express it. And so I was just straight up again. I said, hey, Muhammad, man, do you have a big woman in your life? And he goes, yes. And she's giving me lots of trouble. How do you know? How do you know these things? I said, Muhammad, man, it's not because of me. I think I'm a worse guy than you, seriously. I mean, I'm screwed up. But I think I'm in this car because, again, I don't like talking to people that much. But I think God wanted me to let you know he really knows you. And he's crazy about you. And he loves you. Then he got really quiet. And he didn't talk almost all the way from Irvine to LAX after that. Suddenly he breaks the silence. Dave, I think I'm about to cry. I said, Muhammad, I think you're supposed to say yes to Jesus today, man. And it's really easy because you're ready. It's just once you pray a simple prayer, and I'll help you pray it. You ready to do that, Muhammad? Yeah. I said, well, let's do it. But keep your eyes open. And it was such a sweet prayer. Have you ever heard like the weight of God's glory? I never knew what that meant. But it was so powerful to me because as I was sitting in that limo, I really felt like I was feeling the weight of God all around me. It was powerful. It was sacred. That place became like the Sistine Chapel to me. I felt like I was in the very presence of God. And I was seeing a baby being born, a Muslim. And people tell me how hard it is to lead Muslims to Jesus. After he was done, we got to LAX. It was just like at the perfect time. He pulls up the terminal. He goes, hey, Dave, man, something happened to my body. I feel different. What happened? My body. I said, yeah, that's the Holy Spirit. He changed you, and now he's living in you. He got out of the car, and as he's getting out of the car, you know how like 20 seconds can be like 5 minutes? There's like this spiritual thing you're doing, like you're in a moment with God. And I felt God say, hey, Dave, why don't you give him everything in your wallet? No! Come on, God. I just went to the ATM, man. I took out all this cash because I'm going to New York. Dave, I know you're debating in your mind whether this is me or not, but you just need to learn to give everything away. And I knew that was God. So he came to the door, opened it up, and I pulled out my wallet, and I said, God told me to give you this. And he ran away from me like I had leprosy. He went to the other side of the limo, and he said, sir, I cannot take your money, for you have given me something better than money. Man, it could be fun when you see that right around you, wherever you go, you're the light of Christ. It's not about you just giving monies to ministry so they can have fun. Man, you can have fun today. You can walk the planet wherever you go, and you can expect God will bring the Samaritan woman to you. Don't you think he wants you to do that? You see, could it be that Satan's greatest illusion to us is that we're killing it when it comes to like doing ministry in the city? Look at our churches. Look how huge they are. Look at all the people come and sing in these songs in small groups. But the city isn't changed. Come on, you guys are smart. Something's wrong. Could it be that if we see ourselves as the church unleashed, and that's our design, and that's our calling, that, man, the nations could change, the bottlenecks are eradicated, for you are the very presence of God. So come on. We can do this. So what I want to pray for you this morning, is this a little bit of, like, I call it like activation, right? Where you feel, have you heard the Jesuits where they have this thing called 1 foot raised? And I love that concept. So let's all stand together. This is kind of like a martial arts move, right? Some of you won't be able to do this, but it's okay, just try. You can put your foot down once in a while, but just hold your foot up, This is an experiment, and then you put it down. Because why did they have this concept 1 foot raised? You're ready to go. If God calls them, we're ready to go. We already have 1 foot raised. This is the way you're supposed to live your life. If you'll live your life this way, you'll find every day can be more exciting. I'm now 53. I have more energy than when I was 20. I can't wait to get up. You should feel the same way. Remember, joy is not just simply about endurance. That's like phase 1. Graduate school joy is when it can be all screwy up around you, screwed up, horrible. But man, you got this presence of God, and you're delighting. It's like, what's going on with that dude? Look how horrible it is around him. Wow, you got the presence of God. So I want to just pray for activation, that you really feel the power of the Spirit. If you got some things that need to get healed, if you need some encouragement, I pray that you feel the very presence of God, just like Muhammad did. Oh, by the way, this is really cool because I met with the top imam. Like, there's 3 imams in America. This guy has the biggest church or mosque in America. We interviewed him, and in our interview, We said, why are Muslims becoming Christians? This is a guy that's not a Christian. This was in New York City just 2 months ago. We said, why are so many Muslims becoming Christians in the Middle East? You know what he said? It's because they're getting visions and dreams of Jesus. This is a guy that's not even a Christian telling. He's one of the top imams. You have that same supernatural power. It's in you. Your eyes can shift. Has Satan put a blindness in us saying, is this life for you? Maybe it's different. Maybe if I walk out of here and I'm empowered and I feel the power of the Spirit and I have this new operating system, the form's still there, but I got this operating system where I can see the very presence of God and I'm connected to His power. Man, we could be different. So if you want, you can hold your hands out. You know, it's not being too charismatic. You can just hold your hands out to receive this. If not, if you go really crazy, you want to go that way, it's okay, but you can keep it down here. Just hold a finger out if you want, Yeah, you don't even have to do that. But this is pray for you, okay, and encourage you. God, thank you for each person here. You're madly in love with them. You're so madly in love with them. And you want them to take off the blinders, I know, because you are present in their life. It's not just about their giving money. Lord, you want them to experience life like all these guys on the front lines, because they're on the front lines. They're the ones with lost every day. So I pray that they would not see them like separated from the real work, but they are doing the real work of you. They are being your presence. They are roaming the earth with freedom, and they will be blessing people, and you love that. So God, I pray for an unleashing in Orange County, that this group of people will be part of a movement, of a great revival, where they see themselves at the front lines of doing your great work with generosity, with the power of one mentality, that one person may be the one that changes the city. So, Father, release them into this power. And I pray that you would heal their bodies and you would give them visions and dreams, just like you talk about in Joel, so that you would ignite their spirit, so the young people around them, the next generation would see it's not just about the work, but it's fun, and it's so filled with joy and power. We ask these things in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Told you you're in for a good morning.